Meghana Pandit, reporting for MAC News at 5, where we bring you the world news in a nutshell. Today we have a special broadcast on World War I. To start off, we have the beginning of the 20th century. World War I, or the Great War, began as a competition between European countries, alliances among those countries, and the patriotic view of nationalism. European powers kept safe by forming alliances such as the Triple Alliance, which included Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. They rivaled with the Triple Entente, which included Britain, France, and Russia. It continued to get pretty heated in those European countries as all of them knew war was coming. Germany decided to create the Schlieffen Plan, which called for a quick attack on France through Belgium, because France was a bit indifferent at this time, sort of leaning towards Britain. However, this plan failed due to Belgium's high resistance and the French army stand at the Marne River. Now, there was also major military technology, such as artillery, machine guns, and rifles, that unfairly favored the defensive. So as a result, trench warfare was formed, which was an extremely bloody style of combat. Then, the Western Front's fighting was horrific, but almost no movement at all. Also, many setbacks occurred in Russia, for example the Ottoman Empire joining the war, taking the side of the Central Powers, cutting Russia off from its allied countries. Another reason for the war stemmed from the naval rivalry between Britain and Germany. This led to Germany showing off its new naval weapon, the submarine, which allowed Germany to possibly destroy Britain. The fighting spread to more than Europe, however. When Britain's imperial holdings such as Canada got involved, troops from those countries began getting in the fight and helping out. Let's take a break and look at the political weather with Franceskah Charles.
Hey Meghana, welcome to MAC Weather. Now let's look at the forecast to see how our nations are doing today.
We have the Central Powers, Austria-Hungary, Germany, and the Ottoman Empire. Allied powers are France, Italy, Russia, and Great Britain. Finally, here we have the Battle of Eastern Front and the Middle Eastern Front, which is right over here and here. Back to you, Meghana.
Now we reach the year 1917, where the countries were exhausted with the stalemate, the situation where no one can win. So Germany set out their submarine warfare to starve Britain out of the picture, and this worked, however, but it pushed our country, the United States, to declare war 2 years ago. Looking at Russia, we see the Tsarist regime collapsing and Vladimir Lenin, along with the Bolsheviks, coming in. In Russia at the time, the Russians, for the Reds, declared the USSR, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Then the Bolsheviks shot the Tsar, discontinuing the monarchy. Now, as a result, Germany then could send troops to the Western Front. Now, the Allies just wanted to get America to Europe for combat, while the Germans just wanted to get soldiers from the Eastern Front to the West to take out the French and British from the war before the Americans arrived. As time progressed, the Germans launched an offensive against Paris last year, 1918. In the fall of last year, Germans retreated and World War I ended in November of 1918. World War I required populations in many countries to participate not just in the war front, but through boys conscripting and women helping out in businesses and also stepping in the place of men. Now we switch it over to Atharva Nagarkar, who is in Paris, France, to discuss the Treaty of Versailles on the table.
Thanks, Meghana. Here is where the Paris Peace Conference is taking place. We have the leaders of the Allied nations making their decisions due to the defeat of the Central Powers. So far, the terms of the treaty include taking apart of the Habsburg Empire and splitting of Austria and Hungary. Because of this, new countries are formed, such as Poland, Finland, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia. Italy got some of Austria's territory, while the Ottoman Empire lost most of its land. Also, according to the Balfour Declaration of 1919, Britain agreed to create a homeland in Palestine for the Jews. In Germany, where blame was placed, they lost some colonies, and it was just heard that they lost around 14% of their territory. Germany was also disarmed, and now I just heard that they must pay the total cost of war, which is around $32 billion. So far, that's all I've got, but stay tuned.
Thanks, Atharva. That really helped put things into perspective. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for tuning in to MAC News, where we bring the world news to you. Hello, my name is Meghana Pandit, and welcome to MAC at 5, where we bring you the world news in a nutshell. Today we have a special broadcast on what is known as the interwar period, the 20 years between World War I and World War II. These years brought some sort of relative peace to Europe, while still remaining on shaky ground. There was little skirmishes such as civil wars in some European countries. This was now at the time of the 1920s, where treaties were set up intended to end all war, such as the Kellogg-Briand Pact. Countries such as Great Britain and France were so economically drained, they began to borrow money from us, the United States. The 1930s brought the Great Depression. Europe was in a large financial hole, so as a result had borrowed a lot of money, making American stocks draw money to itself. There was also many surpluses at the time, leading to deflation. This hit Europe hard, also because of the dependence on our money. As a result, unemployment rose high, and the United States put a high tariff, almost cutting off all international trade. Many different forms of government rose up in Europe, such as communism in the Soviet Union. Post-Tsarist regime, there was the Provisional Government, which was then overthrown by Vladimir Lenin and Leon Trotsky. When they pulled out of the war, they fought and won the Russian Civil War. And Lenin tried to modernize the Union with Marxist ways. He died in 1924 when Joseph Stalin, one of the most oppressive dictators, came in and instilled 5-year plans, along with leading the international communist movement. In Italy, fascism, a right-sided dictatorship, rose up. Led by Benito Mussolini, fascism is an anti-communist ideology, threatening private property. It also involves making the state blossom and militaristic. Any hints of liberalism and democracy are cut out. Both communism and fascism are subsets of totalitarianism, which includes a single leader who controls everything. In the German Communist Party appeared Adolf Hitler with the Nazi Party. Hitler's aim was to create a society only containing the Aryan race. In China, there was the nationalists versus the communists, who were led by Mao Zedong, who fled to the north when there was a genocide against them in Shanghai. In 1931, Japan seized Manchuria from China, creating a divide between the nationalists, the communists, and the Japanese. Finally, we have another freedom movement, where there's the Indian National Congress, led by Mohandas K. Gandhi. He fought peacefully against the British for freedom for Indians, which was finally gained in 1947. That's all I have for today. Thanks for tuning into MAC, where we bring the world news to you.
Hello, this is Preetha
Preetha, Anbu reporting for MAC News at 5, where we bring you the world events in a nutshell. Today's broadcast focuses on World War II. We aren't sure of when exactly World War II began, but some point to the German invasion of Poland in 1939. This war was divided among the Axis powers and the Allied powers. Now let's go to Meghana Pandit for political weather.
Thanks, Preetha. I'm reporting for MAC Weather, where we have the Allied powers, Great Britain, France, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the Soviet Union, and the United States. And the Axis powers, Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, and Japan.
Thank you, Meghana, for clarifying the locations of the Allied and Axis powers. We, the United States, entered the war, leaving our state of isolationism after the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor in 1941. Our soldiers fight with the moral support given by Coca-Cola. We provide Coke for any man in uniform for only 5 cents. Coca-Cola has become known worldwide as America has emerged as a global superpower. The turning point of this war was when the Axis powers lost 3 consecutive battles: Midway, El Alamein, and Stalingrad, all in 1942. After these 3 battles, the Allied powers were destined for victory. The Axis powers finally surrendered in 1945 with the initial surrender of Germany. Economically, this world war has cost almost $1.6 trillion. That's all I have for you today. Thanks for tuning in to MAC News, where we bring the world news to you.
Today we will discuss the Cold War, who was rewarded its name due to the lack of actual fighting, but the cold feelings between the USSR and the United States. These two nations were the ones that had emerged as the most powerful superpowers post-World War II. Around 1945, the Soviet Union conquered Eastern Europe and tried to impose communist ideas and governments. Stalin's main goal was to pick up territory, but was afraid by the atomic weapons from America. The Soviet Union also wanted to protect USSR from being vulnerable, like it was in World War II. So as a result, the Berlin blockade was created between West Berlin and West Germany. The Truman Doctrine was then claimed, which promised to aid to any countries being put in the imposition of communism in Europe. Later, the Marshall Plan was revealed for how to help Europe out of the mess. Now the United States officially joined the Cold War as part of NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, along with countries such as Canada, Great Britain, and 9 other European countries, West European countries. They rivaled the USSR's military alliances, the Warsaw Pact. By 1950, the Cold War in Europe had stalemated and had traveled to Asia, as seen in the Korean War. After this, there was the Cuban Revolution and the Vietnam War. In 1961, the Berlin Wall was built by the Soviet Union. After this, nuclear weapons rose up with the Cuban Missile Crisis. The USSR stopped the American monopoly on atomic weapons, which is when the nuclear arms race began. Around 1969, the Cold War came into a detente, which is a more peaceful period. America was jaded by the Korean War and the constant recessions. However, this peaceful time soon came to an end when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. The arms race continued, and in 1985, Mikhail Gorbachev rose to power in the Union and tried to help out the country. He set up Perestroika, which was a plan for improvement for Soviet inefficiencies and economic control. Gorbachev was worried and began to negotiate arms agreements with President Reagan. Shortly after, the East German Communist Party fell, leading to the fall of the Berlin Wall, which the freedom movement cherished. In South Africa at the time, Nelson Mandela, who led the African National Congress, was released from prison. At the same time, the end of the apartheid occurred. On December 25, 1991, the Soviet Union fell due to anti-Soviet nationalism, perestroika failing, and leadership problems. Now, for a little break, we go to Franceskah Jean Charles, who is in Eastside Manhattan.
Thank you, Meghana. I'm live from Manhattan, outside of the United Nations headquarters. The United Nations was created in 1945 to take place of the League of Nations, which was created by President Wilson during the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. UN had the job of mediating between nations and sometimes actually interfering within international disputes. They issued the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. They also created the NGOs, which is a non-governmentalist organization which helps to end problems such as world hunger.
Thanks for tuning in to MAC, where we bring the world news to you. Hello, my name is Meghana, and I'm reporting for MAC News at 5, where we bring you the world events in a nutshell. Today we discuss current issues and events. Lately, something known as a multinational corporation was formed. There was also the formation of the European Union, which was the joining of Western Europe. Economic globalization also occurred in the 1990s, which brought in decent amounts of money after years of turmoil. Also, after the Industrial Revolution, pollution was and is a major problem occurring with the environment. CFCs depleted the ozone layer, and the effect of greenhouse gases on our planet has come to be known as global warming. Terrorism activity also has escalated when Al-Qaeda terrorists, led by Osama bin Laden, flew into the World Trade Center and Pentagon, killing more than 3,000 civilians. Another major shift was in the new role of women trying to receive rights for themselves. Good job, women. Women's suffrage, or right to vote, came about along with gender equality at work and in social settings. The feminist movement showed these gender equality problems and strived to fix them. Access to birth control made women feel empowered, and this took form in the 20th century. Americanization occurred with McDonald's and obviously Coca-Cola. Maybe one of the most important inventions of these centuries was the computer, or laptop, which caused a surge of information in a second, as we can see. We had great scientists come in, such as Albert Einstein and Max Planck and Enrico Fermi. Albert Einstein actually invented or discovered the theory of relativity. The 21st century has approached, and we have had global integration and major trends. And now we are here, currently on this present day of May 12th, worrying about the AP exam. But don't worry, we can see what the future holds. In the meantime, good luck, and thanks for tuning in. Okay, that looks good.
Yeah, the camera's getting all of it when you angle it.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good. You got everything?
Preetha, move your butt out of the way.
Oh.
What?
Somebody help me find Charlie!
Oh god, let me see here. Did you throw away your script?
No.